Hey guys, I'm King Sway.
Little Lonnie.
Speak up.
Little Lonnie.
And today we got a reaction video for you. Somebody, I'm not going to say any names, like scary stories. So, what Princess wants, Princess gets. So, we're doing a reaction video to Horror Story Animated. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Back in the summer of 2016, I got my first job at 18 years old. I was excited about the work, but not about the commute. Without traffic, it was a 30-minute drive both
You really waited till
ways,
you were 18 to get
and
a
I
job?
normally got off work around midnight, and the last thing I wanted to do was drive a half hour to get home.
Cat.
And during the first few weeks, I was still getting used to my new routine, and one of the first things my mother told me was to keep an eye on my gas tank, and if I ever needed more, I should leave early and stop on the way, but never on my way back. I understood her concern. I was a petite 18-year-old female, and I looked even younger. But being who I was, I half forgot, half ignored that advice.
Being
And
who
one
you
night on my
were.
way home, I realized I legitimately didn't have enough gas in the tank to get me to my exit. I pulled into the first station I could find, not caring about the brand or the cost of the gas. I decided to make it as quick as possible, and only put in about $10 worth, just to get myself out of there. I swiped my card and began pumping gas, and once it got to the $10 mark, I shut it off and printed out my receipt. Thinking the worst was behind me,
That's
I was
why I
about to
like
climb
Jersey.
back into my
We don't pump
car
our own
and
gas in
book it
Jersey.
home, when a voice came from the tiny intercom above the pump. "Ma'am, there was a problem with your credit card payment." I paused and glanced at the guy at the counter, and felt a chill spiral down my neck. He was one of those tall, gaunt, sketchy-looking clerks, and was staring right out the window at me, beckoning me to come inside. I stepped back towards the gas pump and pressed the button on the intercom. "What's wrong with my card? I have a receipt. It went through just fine." I didn't try to hide the annoyance in my voice. I didn't like the look of this guy, or the way he sounded. "I just need you to come inside, ma'am. Your receipt is incorrect. I'm going to need to run your card in here," he replied, a bit too quickly. I looked back at the guy through the window in frustration. There was no way I was going in there, where I would be alone with him. He was
Yeah, 'cause
staring
you
at
just
me
locked the door.
wide-eyed, like some kind of creep.
Kidnap
I
him.
stood my ground, pulled out my phone, and checked my credit card app. I held it up stupidly as if he could see it from there, and I pressed the intercom button again. "It went through. I see it on my statement. I'm not coming in." "Ma'am, if you attempt to leave, I'll call the police. I have your tag number. Please come inside." I then shouted at him from across the parking lot instead of pressing the intercom. "Over $10 of gas, they're gonna call the cops?
Yes.
Fuck you. I'm leaving."
Oh.
I walked a few steps around my car and gave him the finger. I was just about to walk back around my car and climb into the driver's seat when I paused. He was mouthing something to me through the window. I would have ignored it, but he suddenly looked much more desperate than creepy.
Oh,
He
he's
kept
trying to save
beckoning
her.
me forward and calling out something that I couldn't hear through the window. I must have made a weird look, because 5 seconds later he slammed a piece of paper on the window where he had hastily written, "Guy in your car."
See?
I booked it inside the station, and once I was there, the clerk locked the door and told me to get down. He had his eyes on my car and had a gun in his hand. I squatted down behind the counter and watched the security cameras as a tall guy in sweatpants and a windbreaker nudged my back door open, slid out quickly, and jogged away into the night. I started freaking out. Turns out the clerk had noticed the guy hanging around the side of the building on the monitors, and as soon as I pulled in, he made a beeline for my car. He crouched down and opened the door, and slid himself inside as I was swiping my card, being careful not to close the door all the way behind him, so that I wouldn't hear
You wouldn't
anything.
hear. Yep, I was about to say that.
The clerk had noticed all of this on the camera, and immediately called the cops, who arrived a few minutes later. They searched the area and my car, but were not able to locate the guy, or anything that would lead back to him. The gas station clerk probably saved my life, because who knows what would have happened if I had driven off with that stranger in the back seat. I think the lesson here is obvious. It's not enough to be cautious, you have to stay alert as well. Be suspicious but not stupid. And always listen to your mom.
Or dad. All right. I like that one. You know, I'm not gonna lie. You watched it in the beginning. I thought he was the one trying to do some shady stuff, but it turns out he was actually trying to help her, and he did. I'm glad for that. Did you like it, Princess?
That was pretty horrifying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully, when you get older, you'll never have to deal with something like that.
I would just punch that guy in the face.
See, she's got those hands. At 6 years old, she's got those hands. 1, 2. She makes him go night night.
I will.
I'm glad that had something of a happy ending. I mean, obviously the cops were called and the girl was scared and whatnot, but that had something of a happy ending because nothing happened to her aside from a little trauma. I'd rather be traumatized than bodily harm come to me or be dead. You know what I mean? So that's my reactions to that one with my little princess here. I'm King Sway,
Lil Lonnie.
and we will see you in the next one.